Now, when it comes to Drake, Lawbreeze and Genograms, well, once again, the biggest crash out in hip hop's entire career is going out in spirals, because right now, after his little games and updates that made his ongoing lawsuit against Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us record more confusing and pathetic, UMG has come back and responded to Drake once again, and this time, with how open they get about exposing Drake and just pointing out the truth that nobody on that side of hip hop wants to hear. Things have really never looked worse in terms of this case going forward and Drake getting his way with things. And now, before we go any further into what all this means, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And as all the Drake fans are trying to run away from the reality of what we are seeing here, which is the real beginning of the end for their guy, make sure to leave a like so all of hip hop can see how bad this really is for Drake and how great this will be for the genre. And so now, with that said, when it comes to good old pathetic Lawbreeze, as UMG just filed another motion to dismiss this ridiculous mess that Drake has created, they didn't hold back this time whatsoever, and really with the paperwork they have handed to Drake, it's not just effective, but it's also hilarious, because in this thing, Drake gets mocked and embarrassed here, really like it's another diss track, because more than we have ever seen to this point in this entire suit so far, UMG just calls Drake's bluff and reminds him and everybody else of what's really going on here, which is just an emotional crash out and temper tantrum from a fully grown person who is just upset that something didn't go their way. And UMG really wastes no time getting to this, as they literally say, opening things up, how Drake is just making up anything to whine about, and they know this, because rather than stand on his original complaints that started this thing in the first place, they straight up say, on March 17th, 2025, UMG moved to dismiss Drake's complaint. Rather than attempt to defend his original complaint, Drake filed an amended complaint in which he removed obviously false factual allegations, but added multiple allegations about Lamar's live performance of a version of the song Not Like Us at the Super Bowl 59 halftime show on February 9th, 2025. And now, with everything they detail, just to remind Drake and show everyone how flimsy what he is trying to stand on taller and taller really is, there is no way that this all doesn't come down very soon, because really, with the team representing the label that made Drake having to literally talk about everything Drake has tried to add in with this suit, with such moments like the Grammys and especially the Super Bowl, they really just troll and humiliate him, because after calling Drake's claims astonishing, which I feel like in this type of thing is about as far as you can go to just try and make fun of somebody while obviously staying within the tone that these things need to be in. After this sentence, which really just feels like a professional way to laugh at Drake, he just ends up getting cooked here more than ever, as they point out how his own points and claims are contradicting one another, and how this shows that he is not organized or has a greater message, but that he's just trying to use anything he possibly can to take down Kendrick Lamar in this song, which they state pretty clearly as they say. As Drake concedes, Lamar's Super Bowl performance did not include the lyric that Drake or his associates are certified, which of course is the alleged defamatory material that is at the heart of this case. And then they go on to say that the focus of Drake's new claims, which are that the largest audience for a Super Bowl halftime show ever did not hear Lamar call Drake or his crew that word, ultimately ends up betraying the case for what it is, which is Drake's attack on the commercial and creative success of the rap artist who defeated him rather than the content of Lamar's lyrics. And as they close this out saying the amended complaint is without merit and should be dismissed, once again, it seems like with everything UMG did here, they just once and for all went all in on Drake for not just being petty here, because that is what this is all about in terms of why he has even went this far and why we need to have this conversation in the first place, but they show how many problems and flaws are within the exact case that he is trying to present. And finally, with this, we are seeing Drake just get made fun of within actual paperwork by his label for using and citing people within this case who know absolutely nothing about anything going on, as Drake was relying on none other than fan pages to try and win the biggest move an artist has ever made to their label in this era. And again, just hearing Drake get made fun of and trolled in this professional way is really one of the funniest things, and I think we are going to look back on this as something that didn't even feel real in terms of how Drake just created this mess in the first place. Because seriously, as UMG literally has to say, the comments cited in Drake's complaint make this point. They are rife with grammatical errors, slang, and emojis, and authored by sources such. Once again, even with the small things here, when you read this thing from front to back and go through all of it, the more you just slowly see what really easily has to be the absolute and official beginning of the end for Drake and this entire thing he has been trying to say and escalate for so long. Because really, even now with the whole idea of Drake being a hypocrite and only bringing paperwork into this situation because he was the one who messed around and lost the beef and had one of the biggest diss songs ever made about him, well, once again, they remind Drake that he didn't have a problem saying everything that he did on Family Matters, which really, between the claims he made about Kendrick's own family, I mean, you could say what was said there was at least just as bad, but if not worse than what Kendrick did at all. Well, taking things even further and once again putting all of this into perspective of just how much of a hypocrite and bold-faced liar Drake really is, UMG made sure to also include things that clearly point out to people who may not have known that less than 3 years ago, Drake himself signed a public petition criticizing the trend of prosecutors using artists' creative expression against them by treating rap lyrics as literal fact. And as they literally say, as Drake recognized, when it comes to rap, the final work is a product of the artist's vision and imagination. They really got Drake bad here, and they really make sure to bring this home, as they say Drake was right then and is wrong now. The complainant's claims against UMG are no more than Drake's attempt to save face for his unsuccessful rap battle with Lamar. And once again, by pointing out how Drake did this, and also this was part of the very idea and sentiment that helps Drake's own friends get out of their own horrible situations where their lyrics were being twisted as fact, when indeed they were trying to be creative expression. I mean, you can't act like these guys are not right for pointing all of this out and letting everybody know that even Drake himself doesn't even believe in the things he was saying, because when he wasn't trying to get back at somebody for a beef, he was not doing anything close to this, and matter of fact was supporting the very opposite side of where he is standing at now. And with something like this, as Drake has not even been able to explain it or anything, we can just so clearly see this clown getting exposed for the fraud that he has been for this whole case, really, and for so much longer before that. And really, if you thought that all of this was enough and that the rabbit hole could not get any possibly deeper, well, I got news for you, because things only got worse from here for Drake, as they once again went to flip the claim that Drake is making about Kendrick playing Not Like Us right back at him more than ever, by not just holding up the mirror to Drake, but by showing how his team is only using half of what happened in Drake's entire career to portray the narrative that they want within their paperwork, as they say. Nowhere in the 100-plus page legal blather written by Drake's lawyers do they bother to acknowledge that Drake himself has written and performed massively successful songs containing equally provocative taunts against other artists, nor do they mention that it was Drake who started this particular exchange. Apparently, Drake's lawyers believe that when Drake willingly participates in a performative rap battle of music and poetry, he can be defamed even though he engages in the exact same form of creative expression. Just as I said, when you go through this more and more, you really see how each one of the things that Drake has said or done either just doesn't make sense, especially when you see that he is using fan pages in such a pivotal time and things he is trying to prove, or when you just see all these hypocritical choices that showcase that Drake is hiding information and is only trying to tell one half of a much bigger story so that people think he is some sort of a victim. I mean, when you piece all of this together, which again, what UMG does is both troll Drake and just hold the mirror up for everybody to see. I mean, even without having the context of hip-hop culture and rap beef, anyone should be able to look at this and see that what Drake is doing is truly shameful and hypocritical, and that if he was able to get away with this, it ends up challenging and taking away from the ability that everyone has to say things and express themselves in their art, which is why in the first place this is so much bigger than just two rappers beefing now, and really the stakes of this will end up having effects on the entire world of not just rap, but music and the creative realms as a whole, because if one delusional and petty person like Drake could get away with something like this, man, nobody is ever going to be able to make jokes, say what they want, or just push the boundaries of creativity without ever wondering if the wrong person won't like it and that it may end their careers because of that. But now, as we are at a point where it seems like everyone understands this is the issue and this is what Drake is trying to ruin because of his own personal failure and loss in a rap beef that he just can't handle, well, it's great that things are starting to stack back up against him, and maybe sooner than later, this thing will end up getting dismissed before it goes any further and before everything has to get even more messy than it already has. But in the meantime, as it stands and as we wait to see how this will be perceived and accepted by the people who actually need to hear this and get to make the decisions, all we can do now is just sit back and smile as we see that everybody who is not a delusional OVO supporter and who is so obsessed with Drake that they can't even think clearly and objectively about this or anything at all, are all seeing the bigger issue with all of this, which is that Drake is just trying to ruin the way anyone can talk about their music and and beyond with the precedent he is setting. And so at this point, if you are Drake, I don't even know how you could hold your head up in hip-hop and in music, because for any of his peers who actually care about the music they are making, he has become the very antithesis of what the art form they all operate in was made to do. And I think sooner than later, as we get to see the full implications of this on both the industry and Drake's career, we will begin to see how people really feel about this. But as we wait, well, for now, all we can do is laugh at the fact that Drake really thought he would get away with making the flimsiest, hypocritical, and most baseless suit and claims of all time. And so now with all this said, let me know. What do you think about UMG's new response to Drake that is trying to end this ridiculous case once and for all? What do you think is going to happen from here? And what was your favorite thing that UMG ended up exposing or trolling Drake about as a whole? Now I can't wait to hear what you have to say about all of this. And now if you made it to this point in the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. And now if you want to see how right before this, while Drake is still causing chaos with these papers, right now it seems like he has taken a little break from rap because he can't even speak anymore, because Kendrick Lamar has just proved how he is the winner in all of their beef time and time again, to the point where now with Kendrick's current tour, he has nothing left to say, and really nobody in OVO does for that matter. Check out the suggested video.